What's good, math family? Today I'm going to show you the easiest method to factor those challenging quadratic equations and polynomials that have lead coefficients greater than 1. Let's get started. So in the first example, we're going to start off with the AC method. So that means we're going to multiply A and C. And once we do, we're going to get negative 24. And we know that whatever factors we use, they have to equal to positive 2 when we combine them. So we're thinking about 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 6 times 4. So we know it has to be 6 and 4, and 6 has to be positive because the middle term is positive, and we know 4 is going to be negative because we have to have that negative 24. So what we do now is we come in here, and we're going to have 3x squared, and we're going to split our b term into our two factors. So plus 6x minus 4x minus 8. Now, this is going to turn into factor by grouping. So we're going to group the first two terms, last two terms, and simplify somehow with the GCF. So right here, we could take out a 3x. When we pull out a 3x, we're left with x plus 2. Then on this side here, if I take out a negative 4, I'm left with x plus 2. Just remember, when you multiply this negative 4 back with 2, has to give us a negative 8. That's why 2 is positive. Now we notice that both these factors are the same, meaning we probably factored correct. So we know we have x plus 2 times 3x minus 4. And just like that, we have solved the first problem. The other way that we could do this, and this is another method that I personally like, is we could do the slip and slide factoring, which is basically the same thing. So we multiply a and c to get x squared plus 2x minus 24. So now we have a lead coefficient of 1 and we can just factor regularly, meaning we have x plus 6 times x minus 4. That's what would give us this trinomial. But we have to remember that we multiplied by 3. So now when we have our factors, we need to divide by that same 3. This divides into an even number, so we simplify this to x plus 2. And then the second one, when you cannot divide and get a whole number, you just take that denominator, put it in front of the x, and just like that, we have the same exact answer. This is why I love this method you see in purple. But now we're going to go on to the second or third example in this video. In the next example now, be mindful that the equation is set equal to 0, so we have to set our factors equal to 0. So we do the AC method. 9 times positive 4 gives me 36. I know that when we add our two factors, they need to give us negative 12. So we know that both of these factors are going to be negative 6. Give us the positive 36 when we multiply, negative 12 when we add. So we go in 9x squared minus 6x minus 6x again plus 4 is equal to 0. Now we're going to factor by grouping. So the first set of parentheses, I'm going to take out a 3x. Once I take that out, I'm left with 3x minus 2. And then in the second set of parentheses, I'm going to take out a 2. And what I'm left with is 3x minus 2. Once we multiply these negative 2's, we get that positive 4. So we notice now we have the same thing in the parentheses. 3x minus 2 times what's on the outside. 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. So this is a perfect square trinomial. So what we could do is simplify this and say 3x minus 2 squared is equal to 0. And for us to then properly solve, take the square root of this side to get rid of the exponent, do the same thing on the other side. So exponent and radical cancel out. We're left with 3x minus 2 is equal to the square root of 0, which is just 0. And now we're going to move that 2 over and get 3x is equal to positive 2. Now from here, we're going to divide by 3. And I know x is equal to 2 over 3. So this is method number 1. Now let's go back and let's do method number 2 in a different color. Let's say we chose the second method, right? So we did the slip and slide factoring. So we multiply our A and C. So lead coefficient is 1. We have x squared minus 12x plus 36 is equal to 0. We break this down. We know this is going to be x minus 6 squared, right? Let's skip one step. This is equal to 0. So at this step now, we're going to take the square root of both sides and have x minus 6 is equal to 0. Remember, we multiply by that 9, so now we have to divide. We know we're not going to get an even number, so we're going to slide this 9 in front of the x. But I would always tell you guys, if you have a fraction that can be reduced, reduce it first. So this is going to turn into x minus 2 over 3 is equal to 0. So now I can slide this in front and get 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. Move my 2 over the other side by adding. 3x is equal to positive 2, right? Then now once we divide by 3, we know that our final answer would be x is equal to 2 over 3. So same exact thing, kind of a less few steps. And before we go to the last problem of this video, if this has been helpful so far, you like this video, smash the like button for us. Really helps us to get this video out to more students. Last problem now, family. We multiply our A and C. We get negative 72. We know it needs to add just to give us 1. With this one, we know it's going to be 9 times 8, right? Because that's going to give us 72. When we add, we have 1. Just remember, this 8 is going to be negative. 9 is positive, so we have a positive 1. So we're going to break this down now. 6x squared plus 9x minus 8x minus 12 is equal to 0. So now we're going to factor by grouping. I'm going to pull out a 3x here. I'm left with 2x plus 3. Same thing with this, right? After I take that negative sign out, I'm going to pull out 4. So I'm going to pull out 4. So what we're left with now is 2x plus 3. Now from this step, we could combine our factors, meaning 2x plus 3 is our first factor, and then we're going to combine 3x minus 4. Now we set them both equal to 0. So we have 2x plus 3 is equal to 0, which will give us 2x is equal to negative 3. Once I now divide by 2, I know my first factor is x is equal to negative 3 over 2. Now when I go over to the second factor, we have 3x minus 4 is equal to 0. We move 4 over to get 3x is equal to positive 4. And then once we divide to get x by itself, we know x is equal to 4 over 3. But before we go, now let's do the slip and slide method and see if this one is easier. So now with the slip and slide method, right? We multiply A and C. So we have x squared plus x minus 72 is equal to 0. We go ahead and factor this trinomial. We have x plus 9 times x minus 8 is equal to 0. Now remember, we multiplied by 6, so we have to divide both of these factors by 6. And like I said in the previous example, if we have a fraction that's not in lowest terms, just reduce it real quick before you actually simplify further. So we have x plus 3 over 2 is equal to 0. We know we can't get a whole number, so this turns into 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. I subtract 3 on the other side. I have 2x is equal to negative 3. Once I divide by 2, I know my first factor is x is equal to negative 3 over 2. Bam, right? That's the first one. Second one, I reduce this fraction. I'm going to get x minus, and if I divide by 2, this is 4 over 3 is equal to 0. Cannot get a whole number, so we're going to take that denominator, put it in front of my x. So 3x minus 4 is equal to 0. We're going to add 4 on both sides. So I have 3x is equal to positive 4. And once I divide by 3, I'm going to get x is equal to 4 over 3. So we would get the same exact answer. This is why I love both of these methods. Pick whichever one you find works easier for you. Master it. Really hope that this video review on factoring hard trinomials with lead coefficients was helpful for you, math family. If it was, smash the like button for us, subscribe to the channel, and leave comments down below if you had questions on this video or if there's other topics you guys would like to see on our channel. Thank you guys so much for joining Algebra 1 with Mr. Peters.